Hey, it's President's Day, and I thought what a great chance to share a leadership principle from one of our nation's greatest presidents, Abraham Lincoln. And I'm getting this from a book called Lincoln on Leadership. This is a fascinating book. It's an easy book, not a hard read at all, but it talks about some of the leadership principles that Abraham Lincoln lived his life by. And the one I want to share is this. How as leaders should we respond when somebody doesn't do something the way that we wish that they would do it? What happens if we give a direct command or a direct order and a person doesn't follow through or doesn't do it the way they were supposed to? Well, that's where Abraham Lincoln found himself quite often, even though he was the president of the United States, even though he was a great leader. And as leaders, we find ourselves in those positions sometimes. We ask somebody to do something and they don't do it, they don't follow through. Or we ask somebody to do something we thought they were going to do it a certain way. Turns out that they didn't, or they did it in the way that we didn't really think that they should. So how do we respond in that? Well, here's what Abraham Lincoln would do, and I think it's a great principle for us to remember. Instead of becoming emotional, instead of responding out of reaction, instead of going to the person and just cutting them up and down, ripping them, what Abraham Lincoln did was this. He would sit down and he would take a piece of paper and he would write out everything that he wanted to say to the person who had frustrated him. And he wrote it all out and he wrote it all out. And then he took that piece of paper and he either threw it away or he put it in his desk drawer to be forgotten about. And then he was more in his right mind, and after he'd settled down, then he would go and have a rational and a meaningful conversation with that person. And that spoke a lot to me because I don't know about you, if something doesn't happen the way that I feel it should, my natural reaction is I'm going to get on that person. I'm going to tell them how it should be. I'm going to tell them what they need to do. But that's not the greatest way to respond in leadership. And oftentimes we can create more harm and cause more hurt by reacting quickly, reacting out of emotion versus sitting back, getting our emotions out, and then responding in a calmer, more rational way. And that's what Abraham Lincoln did. And so there's my challenge for you. Next time you as a leader have a situation where somebody doesn't meet your expectations, they didn't do what you thought they were going to do, they dropped the ball, how are you going to respond? Are you going to respond like a lot of people do and just rip them up, yell at them, make them feel terrible? Or are you going to do what Abraham Lincoln did and calm yourself, collect yourself, maybe even write it out, and then go to the person and in a calm, great leader type way, respond to them and challenge them? That's the thought for today. Enjoy.